Hi students, myself Tanmoy Dotto, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry, JS College of Engineering. Welcome you all in my first lecture of air pollution. Do you know? Do you know? Environment is a very important because without environment there is nothing about the development, about the technology, all these things. And you know, in environment there air, water, noise and the land or the sound or the land, these four factors are very important. If we do not say properly these four factors, then it will not be possible for us to live on this earth. So today in these four factors, the one of the most important factor is the air, and today we will discuss about the pollutants of the air. That means which components are mainly responsible for the air pollution. Today we will discuss about the category of these components or the how they pollute the environment. Okay, so first of all, what is the air pollution? Okay, air pollutant. So air pollutant is a substance in the air that can have adverse effects on humans and ecosystem. So that means there are some kinds of components present in the air which is not fruitful for the environment or the air. That means which have some kinds of adverse effects on the human and also the ecosystem, because ecosystem, without ecosystem there is nothing in the world or in the environment. So we have to protect the ecosystem. So if there any kind of substance present in the air which pollute the ecosystem, then it will be very much harmful for the animal world. The substance can be solid particles, it may be liquid droplets, or maybe gases. That means that component may exist in the three forms. Either it may be solid or liquid or the gas. A pollutant can be of natural origin or man-made. This is very important word. Okay, that means the pollutant which exist in the nature, that may be sometimes harmful for the nature. That means there is some limit of the particular component to exist in the nature. So if the limit is crossed by the particular component, then it will pollute the environment. Okay, so that means you have to keep in mind that it is natural, that not mean that it will never pollute the environment. Okay, and obviously you know there are some kinds of man-made components are also there, man-made substances are also there which obviously pollute the environment. So any kind of materials, either natural or man-made, if it pollute the environment, it is considered as the air pollutant. Then types of air pollutant, there are mainly two types of air pollutants. So first one is the criteria pollutant and second one is the non-criteria pollutant. I will discuss in details that what is the criteria pollutant and what is the non-criteria pollutant. Okay, so what is the criteria air pollutants? Okay, you have to understand properly that what is the criteria air pollutant. So it is the term is used to describe the air pollutants that have been regulated and are used as indicators of the general air quality. The regulations or the standards are based on criteria that relate to health or environmental effects. Source of criteria pollutants can either be of natural or the man-made. Okay, so like there are some factors are here, like sulfur dioxide, like it is the ground level ozone, then carbon monoxide, then lead also. So either criteria pollutant not mean that it will be always man-made. It may be man-made or it may also be natural also. Okay, so now the criteria pollutant 1. Okay, so total suspended particulates, small solid or liquid, okay, liquid particulates suspended in the air, primarily dust, smoke, metallic and mineral particulates, then it is considered as the type 1 of the suspended particulates. The smaller the particulates, the more deeply it can inhale into the lungs. Keep in mind, if the particulate size is smaller, then it will be very much easier, or it can enter into our lungs, and therefore the greater its potential to affect the health. That means that if the size is smaller, we can conclude in this way that it will be more harmful for our health. Separate air quality standards are often set for these coarse particulates, and for fine particulates these labels are there. Okay, so that is the for the measurement purpose. Okay, so now what is the particulate matter size comparison looks here, that starting from dust. Yeah, there is a size of the dust. Okay, so if you check it, that there will be dust, there fume, there mist, there smoke, aerosol, etc, etc. Okay, these all are suspended, and there's some size are there. Okay, because size is the important factor that by which there's these suspended particulates can inhaled by the human body, and it can affect to the lungs. Criteria pollutant 2, second, okay, that is the sulfur dioxide. This is very harmful also for the environment. Sulfur dioxide is a colorless, toxic, reactive gas emitted from the burning of coal and oil in electrical energy generation or heating, or from internal combustion engines. Okay, it is also relays the industrial production of sulfuric acid. Okay, the greatest threat is when combines with water vapor in the air and form sulfuric acid and sulfates. These two are mainly very harmful. Okay, so when it combines with the water vapor, it is irritating to the respiratory system. What I told you, that this is very dangerous, and when released in massive amounts may increase the atmospheric acidity also, because this is the acid. So obviously there is a chance, if there is a high amount it release in high amount, then obviously it increase the atmospheric acidity. Okay, then criteria pollutant 3, nitrogen dioxide. This is also very harmful. Okay, there is some reactions also involved, which I discussed with you, that how this nitrogen dioxide will form. When air is heated to high temperature, such as automobile cylinders or high temperature furnaces of power plants and industrial boilers, nitrogen oxides are produced. Generally, there are nitrogen oxide may be a different formula, that's why it may be it is written as the X. Okay, so X may be 2 3 in this way. So nitrogen, the general reaction, nitrogen plus oxygen equal to nitric oxide. Okay, this is also nitrogen dioxide. The nitrogen dioxide plus rain, in presence of rainwater, rain means H2O, in presence of H2O, obviously it will form the nitric acid, isn't it? The nitrogen dioxide plus hydrocarbon, it form the smoke. I will details in another class where you will understand what is the smoke. Okay, it is normally smoke means a smoke plus fog. Okay, the combination of smoke plus fog, it will be smoke. The nitrogen dioxide plus sulfur dioxide, and this is the acid rain. I will also discuss that what is the acid rain in details, how acid rain damage the environment, or what is the harmful effects of the acid rain, etc, etc. I will discuss in another class. So nitrogen dioxide is brownish and highly reactive gas present in all urban atmosphere. Okay, this is very dangerous. Now next, your carbon monoxide. Okay, so this is another criteria pollutant, carbon monoxide. So you have to know that carbon monoxide, the general formula of the carbon monoxide is the CO. It is also colorless, odorless and poisonless gas, which is slightly lighter than air. Okay, CO forms when the carbon in fuels does not completely burn. This is very very important. You have to keep in mind that there are some in the fuel also there is some carbon chains are there, isn't it? So when the fuel does not completely burn, then CO is formed. Okay, the vehicle exhaust contributes roughly 60% of all, because this is very very important. Okay, so 60% of all CO emission nationwide, and up to 95% in the cities also, because in the cities there is a huge amount of vehicles. Okay, if there are huge amount of vehicles, then obviously there will be a huge contribution of the carbon monoxide from the vehicles. So there is a national guideline values for CO, for example, to understand that either it is harmful or not, and it is approximately 35 microgram per NCM or 30 ppm, maximum for 1 hour exposure. Okay, and 10 microgram per NCM maximum for 8-hour exposure, and having a role of the formation of ground level ozone. I will discuss also that carbon monoxide is very very responsible for ground level ozone. Okay. So now lead is also another criteria pollutant. Lead already exists in our environment. What I told you that it may also present in the nature from the first time, but it can be a pollutant. Okay. So lead it is a mineral and found naturally in the environment and as well as in the manufactured products. Okay, exposure to lead can occur through multiple pathways, including inhalation of air and ingestion of the lead in food, water, soil or dust, and can cause various abnormalities. Okay, various problems can cause from the lead. Historically, the major source of the lead emission were motor vehicles. Okay, so here also there is a contribution of the motor vehicles for the emission of the lead, and the industrial. Obviously, industry is also responsible for the emission of the lead, because there are so many products are there. What is written here, that so many products are there which contain the lead. So that means there is a chance of the emission of the lead from the industry also. The major source of lead emission today is metal processing, and the highest level of lead in air are generally found near lead smelters. Okay, lead smelters, obviously from the lead smelters there is a chance of the emission of the lead. Waste incinerators, utilities, and the lead acid battery manufacture, because lead storage cell or lead accumulator cell, this is one kind of the storage cell which is used for the different kinds of vehicles or different kinds of area where the energy storage or battery, like the battery, the rechargeable battery. Okay, so there we have to use the lead as the electrode. Okay, so if we use the lead as the electrode, then obviously from this type of industry, or when the battery is not suitable for that purpose, that means the cell is not active, then this should be properly damaged. If it is not properly damaged, then from there is a high chance of the contamination of the lead, or high chance to come to the environment. Okay, so there is a national guideline label also there, like 1.5 microgram per NCM or maximum 3 months exposure, or 1 microgram per NCM, etc., maximum for 1 year exposure. So in this way, there is a limit by which we can understand what is the lead exposure. Then criteria pollutant 6, ozone and the related oxidants. Okay, so oxidants are very very important. Okay, so ozone is a gas that forms in the atmosphere when 3 atoms of oxygen, because what is the formula of ozone? The formula is the O3. Okay, so that's why here it is written that the 3 atoms of the oxygen are combined. It is emitted directly into the air, but is created at a ground level by a chemical reaction between oxides of nitrogen and a volatile organic compounds in presence of sunlight. Okay, so there is a chance of the formation of the ozone because I told you that nitrogen oxides are very very dangerous. Okay, so if there is a nitrogen oxide present, then in presence of nitrogen oxides and some also organic materials which are volatile in presence of H nu or the sunlight, there is a chance of the formation of the O3, and it is also considered as the pollutant. Okay, bad ozones in is an air pollutant. Okay, this is very very important because you know ozone also present in the upper layer which saves the ozone layer actually saves us from the dangerous cosmic and the UV rays from which comes from the sunlight. Okay, so there is an important role of the ozone, but there is also ozone has some another activity from our health also. The bad what is here, bad ozones is an air pollutant that damage the human health. You have to keep in mind also it is also considered as the pollutant. Okay, that vegetation and many common materials, it is a key ingredient of urban smoke. Okay, for urban smoke it is the key ingredient is the ozone. Then non-criteria pollutant. So what is the non-criteria pollutant? This is also very very important. Okay, so in case of non-criteria pollutant, how we can define it? These are the other pollutants that are less prevalent in the environment. Okay, so however these non-criteria pollutants include various hazardous substances that can be a danger to the human health. Health risk include cancer, lung damage, and the damage to the nervous, reproductive and immune systems. Persistent of organic pollutants and heavy metals are two important categories of the non-criteria pollutants. Okay, so now come to the point that non-criteria pollutants are which are the non-criteria pollutants. So there first of all is the solid and metals, then volatile organic compounds are there, ozone depleting substances, greenhouse gases, radioactive compounds and odors. Okay, so non-criteria means there is an indirect effect also. I will show you one by one. Set solid and the metals. Okay, so it is an incombustible chemical resistant fibrous materials used for the fireproofing materials as well as insulation, building materials and bricklaying. So in this way asbestos are a very important non-criteria pollutant. Then there are some kinds of solid and metals are there, starting from the mercury. Okay, so if you think about the mercury, look here that some of the deposited mercury ends here, some of the deposited mercury ends up in swamps, lake and those streams of where bacteria turn into methyl mercury. Okay, so mercury can be absorbed through the skin and the mucous membranes, and mercury vapors can be inhaled. So this is very very dangerous point. You have to keep in mind that that mercury can be absorbed through the skin or the mucous membrane, or the mercury vapors can be inhaled also. So this is very very dangerous because mercury is very 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 harmful. Okay, so heating of mercury or compounds of the mercury that may decompose when heated, so should be carried out with adequate ventilation in order to proper or minimize the exposure to mercury vapor. So these precautions we have to maintain properly. Then solid and metals, there are some solids also there, that copper. Okay, so if we think about the copper, that it is a reddish colored materials with a high electrical and thermal conductivity. It is insoluble. So copper can be released from copper smelters are essential to organisms as trace elements, but they are toxic if they are overabundant. That means if it is required, but if it crosses its maximum limit, then obviously it becomes harmful. And then exposure to a slightly higher environmental level of copper is unlikely to have adverse effects on health. High level exposure might, however, cause chest pain, vomiting, and irritation of the eyes and nose. So these things you have to keep in mind regarding copper, and also copper is treated as non-criteria pollutant. Now come to the point that zinc. Okay, so zinc is the another non-criteria pollutant under solid and metals. A moderately reactive metal that will combine with oxygen and other non-metals and will react with the dilute acid to release hydrogen. Actually, zinc is very important for the production of the hydrogen. Okay, it is the fourth most common metal in use. If you compare the utilization, so zinc is the fourth most common metal which we use in our daily life. And in the workplace environment, zinc. Now another very dangerous metal which is the cadmium. Okay, so cadmium is a soft malleable, ductile, okay, bluish or white bivalent which can be easily cut by the knife. Okay, so this is the cadmium. Cadmium is not an element that is used by the body, and that's why it is toxic, very much toxic. So cadmium is not required by the body. That's why if we take a little bit amount of cadmium, it is treated as a toxic materials to the body. It mainly affects the kidneys and the bones. It is also a carcinogen by inhalation. If we inhale the cadmium, this become the very much carcinogenic agent. Okay, so here this is the picture. From the picture I think it is clear that in nickel cadmium battery, this is the most common type of pencil battery which we are using. So in nickel cadmium battery, after its utilization, generally what happen, we throw it. So if it is not properly damaged, it is contaminated to the environment, and from the environment there is a high chance of the contamination with our body. So that's why it is very dangerous. And next is the antimony. It is silvery white, brittle, fusible, crystalline solid, and that exhibits poor electrical and heat conductivity properties and vaporizes at low temperature. Antimony can enter the body by inhalation. Okay, by ingestion or the food or water containing antimony, or by dermal contact with antimony. So in this way, antimony can enter or the contaminate with our body. Inhalation of air containing antimony may cause eye and lung irritation. This is very important. Okay, and heart and lung damage, even stomach pains, diarrhea, vomiting, and stomach ulcer. These all the points are very important regarding the harmful effects of the antimony. Then arsenic, I think all of you very much well known about this fact that how arsenic is very dangerous for our health. Arsenic and its compounds are used as pesticides, generally herbicides and insecticides, and various alloy. Okay, naturally occurring sources of human exposure include your volcanic ash, weathering of minerals and ores, and mineralized groundwater. From the mineralized groundwater, this is very important. Okay, actually there are so many areas. If you check in internet that arsenic contaminated area in the Indian map, then you can find out there are so many areas which are very much contaminated with arsenic water. That means with groundwater, arsenic mixed with the groundwater, and then what happened, it from the groundwater it enters to our body, and arsenic is very toxic. There are so many problems can arise from to our body from the arsenic contamination. So when heated it rapidly, it oxidizes to arsenic trioxide, which generally has the garlic odor. So arsenic also it is treated as very dangerous metal. Volatile organic compounds, which is another non-criteria pollutants, are organic chemicals that have a high vapor pressure at ordinary room temperature. Their high vapor pressure results from a low boiling point, which causes large numbers of molecules to evaporate or sublimate from the liquid or solid form of the compound and enter the surrounding air. So harmful volatile organic compounds are not actually toxic but have compounding long-term health effects because the concentrations are usually low and the symptoms slow to develop. This is very important. That if the concentration is low, they become the slow poison. This is called the slow poison. Why? Because it gradually or it very slowly damage our body. So that's why research into the volatile organic compounds and their effects is very difficult because their symptoms are very slow to develop. So the examples of volatile organic compounds, there are so many examples are there, like total hydrocarbons means carbon and hydrogen. These compounds are called hydrocarbon. It will be made by the carbon and hydrogen. Then are usually it is the unburnt fumes that evaporate from gas tanks and emitted from exhaust or vehicles. Can also be evaporating solvents of the like gaseous emissions of vegetation or the product of any reaction that involves an organic materials. Okay, so this is the one of the volatile organic compound. Then aromatic, like benzene. You know, benzene is very actually because for organic chemist, there then benzene is a very important compound, but you know benzene is not fruitful for our body. It is very harmful for our body. So if in any reason a benzene enter into our body, this become very dangerous. Okay. And then ozone depleting substances, like there are some substances like generally chlorine, starting from chlorine, fluorine, bromine, carbon. Okay, hydrogen in varying proportion and are often described by the general term halocarbons. Okay, these halocarbons it is treated as the ozone depletion because you know their ozone layer is gradually, their ozone hole is produced or generated, and this become very much dangerous for our earth. And there's an ozone depletion is also included in your syllabus. I'll discuss in another class. Then we'll understand that how it is important that hydrocarbons, there's a big role of the hydrocarbons, that it can deplete the ozone layer. The and then I'll discuss in details in later that what is the ozone depletion. So these are the chlorofluorocarbon. This name is very much common nowadays. Generally, it is not used, but it is very harmful effect that compound has for the ozone layer depletion. Okay, so there are some greenhouse gases are also included. I will also discuss about the greenhouse gas and the global warming in details, but here you have to know the name of the greenhouse gases. For example, you know carbon dioxide, very important greenhouse gas. Then methane, then nitrous oxide, then HFC, then PCF, then sulfur hexafluoride. So all are the important greenhouse gases. Okay, radioactive compounds are very important or very dangerous for the air pollution also. Like naturally made, there are some radioactive compounds which are naturally made from cosmic radiation from outer space, terrestrial radiation from earth crust, and there are some kinds of examples that are also included which are man-made. Okay, so odors are usually gases from anaerobic decomposition of some kinds of materials. The problem is most common around dump sites and landfills. There are very bad odors are there, but may also occur around certain chemical plants. Okay, so this is the another problem regarding the air pollution. So this is all about your air pollution chapter. So what you have to do, that you have to check all the things about their harmful effects, and mainly criteria pollutant and the non criteria. Mainly you have to check that criteria pollutants, national ambient air quality standards by United States, you know, as with that NAAQS. Okay, national air quality, national ambient air quality standards by United States, that from that organization, you know, that there are 6 pollutants are termed as the criteria pollutant. Okay, so that 6 pollutants you have to keep in mind, that one, total suspended particulates, then you know, sulfur dioxide, then nitrogen dioxide, and carbon monoxide, and lead, and the ozone and related oxidants. So these 6 pollutants are treated as the criteria pollutants by NNA, National Ambient Air Quality Standards of United States, and all other pollutants other than these 6 pollutants are treated as the non-criteria pollutants. So you should have some sound knowledge that which are criteria pollutants and which are non-criteria pollutants. Okay, you have to keep in mind these things, okay, clearly. So that's all for today for lecture 1 of the air pollution. And thanks for watching, thanks for attending my class, and meet with you in the next class with another topic. Okay, so goodbye, take care.